So welcome everybody. Good afternoon. It's 5 p.m. in Germany. It means it's kind of the end of the day session in a way, but I hope that you bear with us for a few more moments, and obviously that you're going to have a nice session and learn something for your own organization. So we're very happy to welcome you for today's webinar. It's the second one this year, and it's about the following success factors: values, purpose, and vision. And we're going to talk about today how purposeful, meaningful companies and teams achieve greater success and why this is the case. So bear with us for that. Let's do a quick temperature check to really arrive in this virtual room. Maybe if you want to fill in real quick in the chat how your energy level is today. How do you feel today? Between 0, it's a really tough day, to 10, it's a fantastic day. For me, I'm still on a 9. Personally, Johanna is at an 8. Sebastian. So obviously our mission is to bring that score up for each one of us in the room, so that we come out 1 point at least better than when we entered the room. So let's make this a challenge for this call today. Hello, Michael. So cool. Let's kick it off. Welcome again. So my name is Jacob. I'm a partner in Emmaus Growth and part of the executive board. And I'm here with my colleague today, with Johanne. She will introduce herself a bit later. You're with Emmaus Growth today. For those of you who don't know us yet, Emmaus Growth is a leading consulting, coaching, and training company. And we're focused on empowering the people behind the businesses, behind the numbers, helping them develop, giving the skill set that is necessary to really bring yourself in. We're focused on the following 4 fields: vision and strategy development, as well as goals, goal management and OKRs, as well as positive leadership and employer branding. So basically the foundation of teams and working organizations. And we really try to enable organization and leadership teams to achieve sustainable growth through new work approaches to leadership, vision strategy, OKRs, and employer branding. We're doing this with a set of companies. You can find a few of them on the left side. And out of all of those projects that we conducted with these companies, we collected kind of the best practices, the learnings, and some advice for all of you here on how to do it and how to approach this not quite easy, but even more important topic that we're discussing today. So before I start off, I need to understand who's here today so I can adapt my message a little bit to you guys here in the room. So maybe in the chat, you can give me a quick message with: are you an employee, not leading any people just yet? Are you a leader in your organization leading people? Are you self-employed? Are you in the executive board of an organization, or are you in any other role that is not covered here yet? Perfect, thank you, Edgar. Perfect. Okay, perfect. So then we have a varied field of people here. That's good. Michael as well in the management, senior management. Okay, perfect, guys. So then I will try to adapt to you, because I think you're all kind of in similar responsibilities as well. So let's kick off right away with: what will you learn today in the webinar? And I'm trying to put emphasis on the points that are especially important for you guys. So number 1 is you learn why values, purpose, vision are important in organizations nowadays, and why it is so even more than it ever was before. Second topic, you will learn a process, you will learn some methods to really identify values, purpose, and vision for your company and implement that. And the third one is you'll learn a few tips from our work, how you can actually apply it in your organizations, bring it to your teams, and make the most out of it in your everyday. I think that's really the important piece as well. So it's not just a piece of paper somewhere around in the organization, but you actually work with it. That's what I want to benchmark myself against. If we don't achieve that for you at the end of the webinar, then I have a problem. And that's the agenda that we're going to follow today. First of all, give the context. Why is it important? And give you also some rationale to push potentially in your companies to other leaders that don't think the topic is yet as important. Second one is how do you become a purposeful organization? Third one is then the daily routine integration, and the fourth part is about the summary and some open questions, maybe some advice for you if you need some. All right, let's go ahead. So why is it important? Why are we doing this? We have a few factors that influence the context heavily. Number one, we have the pandemic, or we had the pandemic, hopefully. That changed a lot. At least in Germany, digitalization is now in every company somehow, remote work, hybrid work, you name it. So everything changed and people have different expectations to organizations and to their leaders on how they're being led. Second, in general, crises around the world and the complexity in the business world nowadays, supply chains, whatever it is increasing heavily. It's all volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. So the VUCA is also the BANI is everything. So it doesn't get easier somehow. It just gets more tricky, and all of the different factors influence what we do every day in our companies. Thirdly, I mentioned digitalization, but that's just kind of the start. Now, AI is going to have an impact on our lives in a way that very few of us can actually foresee already, in my opinion. And that's why we need to embrace it and be ready, like when this kind of second wave starts, that we actually can react to it and that we actually have structures in place that hold our organization in the path that it needs to be. Then we have a change in the labor market. Generation Y and Z are coming in as employees and customers. My parents' generation is out of the active workforce now. It's the next generations taking over, and those next generations, they don't work the same way as the last generations did. So we need to adapt to that. And we have a shortage of skilled labor, and we have an employee rather than employer market. So the war around talents is fully ongoing. The best people are harder and harder to get, / it's sometimes even hard to get anybody for an open role in your company. So all of those factors actually make it hard for us as business leaders to work, and we really need to focus on how we get this resolved and how we can steer in that environment. And for the organizations, it means rapid change and complexity. It means there is a new labor market that is very unclear, and it implies that we need to create a frame internally that creates direction and meaning for the people working in our teams. And it's not only on an organizational level, like as a whole enterprise, but it's in every part. It's an enterprise, it's a business unit, it's a department, it's a team, whatever it might be. You need to create a frame that gives the kind of the structure to steer that context in that environment in which we're in. So it's time to develop it. And now you're here, that means it's kind of relevant for you, I hope. And you're here out of your own choice. What I would like to know is, where are you on that journey right now? And it's again in the chat, but I would just be interested to hear, are you seeing the challenges, but you're not yet moving to resolve it or to anticipate some of them? Are you trying to get the focus and the resources because you realize there is the pain, but you're not having yet the focus and resources on it? The third option is you've committed to work on this, but you have no idea how to work on it. The fourth one is you've started devising a plan and you're executing soon. And 5 is you're full speed on working on this. So yeah, just like Melanie did, just post your number, and then I know, or we know as well, what the message is we need to focus on. Okay, cool. Perfect. Thank you very much. I think the rest is probably in line. All right, cool. So it's the second and the third stage on this process. Very good. So I will start with explaining real quick what we see as kind of the 5 elements that you need to focus on, and then I will tell you a few topics that will give you a rationale to your colleagues, to other leaders in your company, why you should be doing that. So first of all, there's 5 key factors for your organizations to work on. The foundation is the values, the purpose, and the vision. those are the topics for today. Added to this is positive leadership and the goals. Those are actually the topics of our next two webinars. So you can dial in then and you will get more in it. The different elements of this pyramid actually work together. It's not necessarily sequential. However, it is very important to make sure that they align. And we're focusing today on the first three factors out of the reason that they actually give us an outline on where are we headed. And if you're a leader in your company, as you are, you know that sometimes the biggest difficulty is prioritization, right? Like, what do we work on? How much time do we spend? How many resources do we put on this? And so on and so forth. So in order to make this prioritization easier, in order to give everybody a foundation to follow that direction, that's where those elements play together. So if you start in today, everybody's working on some fields, you have a rough direction in which you want to go. We want to grow. That's the direction in which we go. We want to grow. That's not enough. You need to think a little bit more and think, okay, where do we want to be in 3, 5, 10 years? Okay, everybody in job interviews gets asked, where do you want to be in 3, 5 years, and need to have a vision for themselves, but companies sometimes lack it. That's not the way it should be. So first one, vision, where do we want to be in X years? Then the strategy. Again, the strategy is not only about annual goals, and then we need to achieve the goals. Let's make a strategy in order to achieve these goals. That's not the strategy necessarily that we're thinking about. The strategy is, if we want to be there in X years, what do we have to do year by year in order to build on it? And then you break down annual strategies from that. Also, what's the big there? Like, what's on the meta level, the purpose of your existence as a company? What's the big thing you want to represent that you might potentially never be able to reach? And then also along the way, what are the values we're following? What are in our team, because we're only going to get to achieve this as a team, what are the kind of the rules, how we want to work together, the guidelines, what do we want to represent, what do we want to stand for, and so on and so forth. So this is what we cover in the values. So it's kind of an accompanying element of that journey. So if you recognize that, you recognize the challenges, all of you here in the room, you recognize the challenges. Now, why should you be working on this, right? If others challenge the resource commitment on this, why should you be doing it? Well, first of all, it's the basis of any sound strategy. Again, like, if you don't have a direction, where should people go? They would just go randomly. Yes, yeah, it will be. Secondly, it will be the part of your cultural DNA. So your company culture, what attracts people, what appeals to people, what motivates people, what gives them trust, it all bases on these topics. It's the greater purpose that you're in. It's the values that you do when you're working with your colleagues. And lastly, it's a clear identity to the outside world. So it's not just for you inside. So you have like in your team a great atmosphere and it's all fun to work. It's not just that. If you really stand for something, it's your job to push this outside and have a clear identity. Talk to your customers about it. Talk to your talent that you want to attract about it. It's really, the benefit becomes manifold and it becomes much broader than just internally if you do that well. And that's why you should invest in it. And that's why any company not investing in it will actually fall behind, because without focus and direction, you can't be working profitably. That's just the point. Now, there is a few studies on it. I'm not going to go into detail. I'm just going to give you some key facts, and then you have the link in the deck and in the presentation. First of all, you have, oops, I'm just going from left to right. First, research shows that companies with sound purposes, soundly communicated purposes, achieve 75% higher customer loyalty. So that actually impacts a lot. What you stand for impacts a lot in your market, in your niche. Secondly, 2 to 5 times higher employee satisfaction. So if you have higher employee satisfaction, imagine what it does to employee turnaround, what that does to your cost for hiring new employees, onboarding new employees, and so on and so forth. And lastly, more like approximately 9,000 euros more EBIT per employee per year. That's a third study also by the Harvard Business Review. That's also immense. That's an immense quota. So it really shows you, like, if you work on the basic foundation, it gives it is for many, many other factors, a really valuable impact. Patagonia is a nice example of a purpose-driven company. They're really like, I mean, it's a big brand, and they have a lot of competitors on the market, North Face and Jack Wolfskin and you name it. There's a lot of companies out there, such as Patagonia, providing nice clothes. Patagonia did something right though. Like they really live their purpose. We are in business to save our home planet. They live that in everything they do, and they really communicate that outside. So they have no problem attracting the talent. They have not a lot of problems to holding the talent and prohibiting personal turnover. They message it outside in their marketing and PR strategy and create a community around their products by doing so. Like a hardcore group of followers that actually is going to always be representing them, and through that word of mouth effect, obviously trickling down on sales and marketing success. One example for this, Black Friday 2018, Patagonia had a massive campaign that they're going to donate the earnings from the Black Friday campaign to an NGO, and their EBIT actually increased by $10 million, just because the word of mouth effect on that purpose-driven marketing campaign was so strong that it gave them a multiple of their usual revenue at a lower marketing cost. Perfect. It's a perfect example. So that's what gives kind of as a hard factor justification to working on it. And now, if you need that kind of storyline, then obviously feel free to use some of those talking points when talking internally to your colleagues. And if you're like at the stage 1 or 2, like you mentioned before, then that might be giving some food for thought for anybody who hasn't bought into that topic yet. For you guys who want to work on it already and have decided that this is something you want to invest in, Johanne will present you now how you actually develop it and how you can put it into practice. And yeah, for this, I'm going to hand over to you, Johanne.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So now you can see my screen. Is that correct? Perfect. So hi, everyone. My name is Johanne, or in English, it's Joanne. As I'm working since 1 year for Amaze Growth, and as we're talking a lot about purpose today, I want to share you my personal purpose, which is to empower and strengthen people in their growth processes. And talking about growth on an individual, but also organizational level, purpose plays an important role. And we helped a lot of clients to define and really live their values, vision, purpose. And I want to share with you today some methods that can help you to get to the goal. For sure, there are different methods you can use and that are working. I can't show you all of them, but we will show you a selection. And in any case, we recommend a 3-step approach. So the first step would be to define the golden circle. The golden circle is all about purpose, vision, and values. I'll talk a bit more about that in a second. Then in a second step, to break it down on a team level. And in a third step, to live the golden circles, so to live values, vision, purpose in the daily business. And as I heard that some of you are already concretely planning to implement these topics and to define them for yourself, we indicated also how many workshop days we normally use with our clients to develop these topics. So for the first step, it would be 2 to 3 workshop days. Then in the second step, to work on about 1 or 2 days per team. And in the third step, to implement it in daily business, we use our toolbox, and we will also share some elements of our toolbox with you today. Okay, then let's start with the first step, the definition of the golden circle. So the golden circle means that we have the purpose, so the reason why we exist. We have the values that are explicitly defined. We always have values that are implicit, but here it's important to make them explicit. And the vision, so in motivating and inspiring picture of where we want to be in 5 years. So these 3 steps, these 3 topics are our golden circle. And we now want to deep dive into these 3 topics and share some best practices also and some methods how you can develop them. So to start with purpose, what is purpose? It's the answer to the question why your company exists, according to Simon Sinek. So this means it's kind of the bigger reason, the reason why you exist and why you're doing the things you do. So, and this is also the definition of the purpose. It's the overarching reason why you exist and why you do certain things, but others you don't. And it's also the foundation then for developing your vision. What is possible with a purpose? Then you get a stronger sense of meaning for your employees. You have an increased engagement and motivation, and for sure also spillover effects for talents. We already heard, according to Jacob, we are in the middle of a war of talents. Very important here, it's not about inventing a purpose. You already have the purpose. You already have the purpose why you exist as an organization. Here, it's about discovering this purpose and making it explicit. And how can you do that? Here, I want to share one idea, one method, how you can find your purpose with Ikigai. Maybe you heard of it. It's a Japanese word, which means life and sense. So it's about finding sense in life. And the concept is applied on a personal, individual level, but you can apply it also on an organization level. Here, you can ask yourself 4 questions. First one, what are you really good at? Second, what inspires you? Third, what does the world need? And last but not least, how do we earn our money? And there we will have some answers that are overlapping. So these could be your passion or, for example, your profession. So the points that are overlapping, what inspires you and what you're really good at, might be your passion. And how you earn your money and what you're really good at might be your profession. And the most important here, the overlaps in the middle, is your Ikigai. So when, for example, you work in a workshop and you have a lot of post-its about these 4 questions, here the important question is, what is the answer to all of these questions? And this is the most important meaning for you as an organization, and this might be your purpose. And then you probably have some post-its, and that's the base then to define and to formulate your purpose as an organization. So to give you some examples of inspirational purposes, here an example from German DM. So they say, we focus on the positive and on people's ability to develop. Our values and culture form the foundation that enables us to act in a sustainable manner. We have another example from Bosch. So we're located here in Stuttgart, south of Germany. So another local example. Invented for life, we want our products to spark enthusiasm, improve quality of life, and help conserve natural resources. And here, for sure, it's also nice to give you our example. Our purpose is we empower and inspire the people behind the numbers. So I hope here it's quite clear what the purpose is, why it's important, how you can find the purpose as an organization, and how a purpose can look like. And before we deep dive into the values as an organization, I'm very curious about knowing if your organization defined explicit values, and maybe you want to share one of the values of your company, or maybe one of the values that you appreciate the most from your company. So please feel free to share it in the chat. I'll have a look at that. So do you have explicit values as an organization? And what is one of these values as an example? Okay. Yeah. Could be also if your organization did not define the values in an explicit way, could be also the implicit values that you see for your organization. Relationship as a favorite value, nice value. Unique, the result how the customers feel. Great. Okay, so here we have 2 explicit values. Thank you very much for sharing. 2 nice results. Okay, thank you very much. Then let's have a look at the definition of values. And to start with a quote, a company without values is like a ship without a compass. So here we can see that values are really the North Star that is guiding a company, or here the metaphor of a ship. So this means, to sum it up, values are principles, standards, belief that underpin the company as a North Star and that are the basis for your cultural DNA. Values are shaping the identity of the company, and it also helps you to achieve the vision and the goals that you set. Also, values can be shared principles that guide everyday work and the collaboration, for example, in a team. And what is possible with values? So for sure, if values are shared, they create cohesion and connectedness. They help you to make decisions, and they attract talents that share also the same values. And then for sure, it's also easier to integrate new talents that come to your company when you already share the same values. And how can you identify the values? So I heard that at least 2 of you already made values explicit. So here could be also an opportunity to challenge the values. And I want to share with you 4 questions that you can ask yourself. There are a lot more questions, so these are just examples. First, what is important to us as a company? What are our priorities? Then, what are principles and beliefs that have made us successful? And which ones support us in achieving our goals and moving closer to our vision? Which values should guide us in difficult situations or in times of change? And how would we like our employees to behave in their daily working routines? And here, the intersection of the answers could be the core values. So there are no right or wrong with values, but here it's important about, or it's about finding the core values. So which values are the answers of most of these questions? And then the first step is to define the values. So these questions can help you with, and for example, here we define one value, trust. But nevertheless, it's really, really important not only to define them, but to explain them and to make sure everyone has the same understanding of these values. For example, trust could be defined as we trust each other and build trusting relationships with our customers. So here everyone can get the same understanding. And again, it's not only important to explain them, but also to derive standards and behaviors. So to ask ourselves, okay, we understood trust is the value. We understood what this means to us. And what does this concretely mean for me in my behavior, for example, with customers or with my colleagues? So here we can derive another standards. For example, with customers, we want to be trusted advisors. Or with colleagues, this value means that we trust each other, that we are the best colleagues. Just to give you an example. So with these 3 steps, it's a lot easier to make these values clear for everyone, to get the same understanding, and to use it as standards and norms. Then we have the 3rd circle, which is all about the vision. And I'm curious to know, maybe someone wants to share in the chat, do you have an explicit vision? And what is the impact of the vision to the organization? What did you, for example, observe for yourself or in your team or with colleagues? What is the impact of the vision? So I give you some seconds. Maybe someone is already typing. Yeah, here I get the first answer. I think our vision and annual strategy compete for energy. Okay. To enable digital uniqueness. Mm-hmm. Okay, and so the first point, what you want to say is that that the vision and the strategy are not 100% aligned, but they kind of competing with each other, if I understood right. And we have another participant saying that, yeah, to enable digital uniqueness is the vision. Also nice vision. Okay, thank you very much for sharing. Here also we get a quote for you from Simon Sinek. A vision is a picture of the future that inspires us and drives us to achieve the impossible. So here it's about inspiration, motivation, and to set high goals, high visions. And yeah, to have a closer look into the definition, the vision is a clear picture of the target state in 5 to 10 years. It's the basis then for developing suitable strategies, as Jacob explained earlier. And it's the guide when it comes to deciding which goals to focus on and which not to focus on. So to set a focus. So a vision makes it possible to inspire and motivate the people, but also to have a guideline for developing strategies and setting a focus. And when people can identify with the vision, might be employees, might be customers, you can strengthen their loyalty. So also here, I want to share with you an example two methods, how you can create your vision as an organization. First one is to imagine a picture of the future, to imagine how a normal working day in your organization could look like in 5 years. You can ask yourself the question, who will be my customers? Who will be my colleagues? What projects will I be working on? What skills will I use in daily business? And how do I organize my daily work? And here again, like we probably have some core answers, and these answers should be part of your vision. And to give you another method, it's the visioning session. So before visioning session with a group, for sure, it's important to define a good frame and space. So it's not a session you should have between 2 meetings set up for 1 hour, but you should have enough time. You should maybe have the session on an offsite, so to get in a more creative mode. And then as a guiding question for this session, I got 2 examples for you. The first one would be, what will be in the Business Harvard Review about your organization in 5 years? So let's imagine there's an article, and now it's up to you to write this article. Another example, you or maybe your CEO will be in a podcast in 5 years. What will you or will he or she tell about your organization? And then everyone in the group, all of the participants of the workshop, of the visioning session, can write down an article or podcast text and then share it with the group. And here again in the group, you can see what are the common points, and these common points should be part of your vision. That's a way how you can derive your shared vision. And so now we had a look at the first step. And as we conducted quite a lot of projects with our clients, we want to share what is, in our opinion, a key factor to success with you. And here in this step, it's the involvement of employees. So it's very important to integrate the employees in defining the golden circle in order for everyone to understand it and to accept it. And for sure, it's important. It's very easy for a small startup to have everyone sit on the same table, and it's a bit more complicated for large companies. But here, it's also possible. It's just about the right framing. You can use surveys beforehand. You can have smaller groups, different workshop formats. So it's possible, and for us, it's our key factors of success to involve the employees in this process. Then let's have a closer look at the second step, which is the team integration. And again, here there are different methods, tools possible, and I want to share some inspiration with you. The main question is here, how do we get everyone on board? So let's imagine your organization set values, purpose, vision. How can you get everyone and all the teams on board? At a team level, you can, for example, reflect the golden circle, which means you can ask yourself the question as a team, okay, we understood the vision of the company, and now let's talk about what's our part in achieving the vision. What can we make possible? When it comes to the values of the organization, as a team, we can ask ourselves, how well or strong are we already living these values? And are there some values that we want to focus on in the next months? Which values will help us to achieve our goals for this year, for example? Another tool that can help you here, I will tell you more about that in a minute, is the team canvas, which can create a nice frame for you as a team and helps you also to reflect on your golden circle. And last but not least, it's a golden circle check, which means, for example, you can challenge if your goals, so the goals you set as a team, if they bring you closer to the vision and if they reflect the purpose. And that's something you can also do with meetings or with role descriptions. With roles, is this a role where you can live your purpose? And what's the purpose of this role? And as I already said, I want to share with you an example of the team canvas that you can also use directly. So here you can have a template with the team strengths, with the purpose, with the goals for this year, with the values, or also with the team roles that apply in your team. And for example, concerning the values, for sure, you have the values of the organization, but here you can reflect, is there something we need to add? For example, as innovation department, maybe we need to add for ourselves the value innovation or drive or curiosity, because this is what makes us unique as a team. And also for the second step, I want to share our key factor that we identified, and here it is the understanding. It's really important that on an organizational level, values, vision, purpose are clearly defined, and it's also clear what they mean to the organization. So not only the value, for example, hope, but that you know what this value means. And this is the base then for teams, or also on a personal level, to reflect, okay, how can we as a team support the vision, or how can I support the vision or bring my purpose into the purpose of the company? And then let's deep dive into the last step, which is all about living the golden circle in daily business. And here I want to share some ideas with you, where you can really live the golden circle in daily business. So one of them would be decisions. For example, when you as a leader or you as a team have to take a decision, here it could be very interesting to take the perspective of your organization's values or purpose, vision, and then ask yourself, okay, with this point of view, what decision would we have to take? But also in employee discussions, like development meetings, you could discuss with the employee how well is the other person bringing their purpose to work, and how can the other person integrate their purpose to work, which is an aspect that is very important, especially for Gen Z. This can also apply when you have new hires. So when you talk with talents on the market, and you tell them about your company, to explain them your golden circle and to see if there's a fit, if they understand it, and if there's a fit with their personal values and their personal vision. And for sure, also goals and OKRs. So to see if the goals that you set as a company or as a team, are they aligned with your vision? Do they bring you closer to the vision? And do they serve your purpose? And here also our learning insight is the importance of the implementation by the management team or by the leaders. So they have a very strong role model function here. And if they integrate values, purpose, vision in their daily work life, then it has a huge impact on the whole company and in the whole organization. So here the role model function is very important. And I want to share, as we already talked about integration in daily routines, I want to share with you some tips and tricks. And we got 4 examples here. So we got the role descriptions, we got the meeting overview, the visioning week, and the Kudo cards. And I want to talk a bit more about the 2 last examples. The other ones you will have in the document. You can have a look at it later. So here we have, for example, the visioning week. We already talked a lot about today about the organization or the team's golden circle. And here it's about your personal golden circle. That's something you can do in a one-on-one session, for example, development session, but also on a team workshop. So to reflect on a personal level on my purpose, on my vision, my strengths, my values, and my goals. And then to share it, for example, with the group, with your team. And another example are Kudo cards. I'm a big fan of Kudo cards, so they can help you to say thank you to your colleagues or to give them small rewards, and they can for sure have a focus on the golden circle. So this means, for example, you can say, I'm very happy, it's great to see you that you successfully completed your education. So it's great that you lived our value curiosity this well. Or I really like how you communicated our vision to the customer. So these are 2 inspirations how you can bring the golden circle to life in daily business. And now Jacob will tell you a bit more about what this means to you on a maybe higher level.
Okay, that was a lot of content right now from Johanne. A lot of input. I know that it's many projects we did on that, and then obviously the best practice out of all of these projects that impact what we are talking about today. The big question is obviously what does it mean for you? Like, what are you going to do with that? Now you told us that I think one of you it was you recognize the pain, but you don't have the full buy-in just yet for the problem at hand and for developing these topics. 2 of you was more like you want to tackle it, but you don't know just yet how you should be doing it. And I think for both of those dimensions, Johanne brought in a lot of valuable points that you can stress in your conversations. And when you get the recording and the materials, obviously you can feel free to use them. Also feel free to reach out to us if you have follow-up questions. Now, there is no right or wrong in this process. That's really important to say. It really depends on what's in place already in the organization and with yourself, and what you think you want to have as an element. You don't have to do all of it. You can do just parts of it. In any case, it should be aligned with each other. So Amanda, when you said that right now you feel the vision and the strategy compete for energy, clearly there's a lack of alignment that definitely needs to be tackled as well. I assume my interpretation was like short-term versus long-term is clashing with each other. So that's something that is really, it's an inherent fault in the system. Then that also needs to be tackled on a different level again. So it's kind of, it's a challenge, as you know. There's no right or wrong. So it's very important to be emphatic to the people and the teams involved in the process. Now you can start, for instance, really, if you have values, purpose, vision for the organization already, you can start with like validating those, developing them further, communicating those values more consistently in your organization, and making the most out of what's already in place. Right? You can also then, if you're a leader in that company, not really responsible for values, purpose, vision, which are already there, you can make sure to lead your teams and leading by example to make it really integrated in the organization. And if you feel like this is really something that needs to be started and you don't really know a starting point, well, maybe start with yourself, develop your own values, purpose, and vision for yourself, and then maybe for your team, inform a vision on the company level. So it really is like, it really can start on all of those areas. Very often, and I know, I mean, this is kind of like, this is a quick pitch maybe, but very often it really does help to have an external party in the process, just because it is a sensitive topic. It's not just something that you can do quickly, like setting up a new process for something. It's something that is really is a lot of work, and you really need to be emphatic to the people involved, and it really is on a personal level as well. So external help can sometimes be very, very necessary in it, because it brings in new ideas, it brings in expertise, but it also brings in objectiveness, right? And to make sure that you have like an objective party coordinating the discussions, coordinating the work streams, making sure everybody is on board, but also there is some regulations, because as a leader, you know how it is. You want feedback from your team. Your vision, purpose, or values, as a leader, having this ownership and responsibility for a company. So it's kind of like, for that also, that an external help sometimes works. That's just also things to consider when you work on this topic. Now, the last topic is, very often, we can't go in detail here, but very often self-reflection is the first step to improve. And what I would recommend you to do now is, for the next few questions, reflect with me alongside. First question is, if you have already something in place, and I know that you're right now thinking about creating something, but maybe there's implicitly some things in place already. Do you have values, purpose, vision somehow there, and to what extent? So I would recommend you to rate those three on a scale from 0 to 10 again, and be, okay, values we do have implicitly. Is it represented maybe on a 5 out of 10? Purpose, there's not really a purpose, so I give it a 2 out of 10. Vision, and you have a 6 out of 10. So like, rate yourself, give some qualitative input as well to your reflection, so you make sure you get a proper understanding of where actually is the starting point. Then, how much further would development in the respective areas bring you forward towards what your goals are as a company or in your departments and teams? How important is that topic? So really kind of try to make quantitative this scale. You can also use the 1 to 10 again to make it quantitative and give the qualitative feedback. And then lastly, if you think, okay, this is really not far yet, it's really important actually, we believe it's a big lever, then what would be the priority first step to move toward there, and what do you think is the likelihood of getting that implemented? So if you're saying like, okay, we really need to have like a proper work stream involving C-level and involving our employees and get started,
That's scenario A. Scenario B is we do this all digitally via a form. So like, what's the likelihood of getting each of those approved and implemented with resources at hand? So like, try to get this through, and it gives you a nice prioritization matrix to also have a storyline towards your team. So that's the recommendation of me to kind of push this process in a way. Cool. That's it from our side. Now, anything that you guys want to share, you can feel free to unmute. You can post it in the chat if you have any points, if you have any questions, if you want any feedback from me or Johanne on a specific topic, then feel free to use this time now.
Well, I would like to say something. Well, first of all, thank you for the presentation. Very interesting, Johan and Jacob. I would like to know if
you're talking,
you
but I
have.
don't hear you. Is it only me not hearing it, though?
I can hear him.
Oh, I think it's only me.
Maybe because there was some change in the audio from your side. I think maybe did your headphones connect? Is that possible?
Yeah, they connected again after I disconnected them before. Thanks for the. So sorry. Now I can hear you as well, Edgar.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for the presentation. Very interesting. Do you have any way to account for the benefits of these things? I know very well that it is very hard to quantify these kind of things because they are very qualitative, for instance. But do you have any effort or any way to measure the benefits for the bottom line?
It's a super tough thing to measure, to be honest. So what we quote for sure is the studies that I showed before. That is definitely something that you can rely on, as it is official scientific studies. Other than that, it's kind of depending really on the customer. So like the KPIs that the customer is using, we try to make assumptions and create proxies that let us calculate the impact of the whole topic to, for instance, the cost effectiveness in resource usage in a company, then ultimately profitability and so on. But it's a super tough thing to calculate, kind of to give a standard calculation perspective on.
Yeah, I know that, and I said it, but just asking, maybe you have some way to do it.
No, so we always go in and calculate business cases for each customer with each customer based on their individual situation, and then using assumptions.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thanks, Edgar. Any other question? Any other feedback? No? Okay. Well, in any case, if you have questions in the follow-up, if there's anything that you would like to know more about, if you would like some sparring with us, feel free to reach out for sure to me and Johanne. Quick summary: what did we do today? So first of all, I think the first chapter, clearly my headline would be: it's not a fluffy topic; it's an actual topic that matters. So let's get down to business and let's work on it. That's the first chapter. The second one is we've learned how to develop this topic, how to develop values, purpose, and vision, and what methods will help you. So that's the toolkit. And then thirdly, we've learned how we can live all of these three items more in our organizations, how we can include them in our work routines, and hence make the most of it. If you would like more information, there is more information out there. So you will get obviously this webinar, but also you can follow us on the blog. You can follow us on our YouTube channel. We're actually posting quite a lot of like little videos and pieces of information. Then also you can follow us as a company on LinkedIn, and you can meet me and Johanne if you want to also for a coffee chat around this topic or any other topic. Feel free to schedule this in. Quick update on what's to come. We have 2 more webinars where we go more to the top of the pyramid that I showed before. So the goals, OKRs is one of them, and the other topic is new leadership and positive leadership as a whole as the top of the pyramid. And then we're actually going to be represented in two events. In one event in Karlsruhe in southern Germany. I don't know if that's relevant for you guys now to travel to southern Germany, but there's a big business fair around new work where we're going to be present and give a speech. And also we will have our own New Leadership Festival organized by Emmaus Grove in Stuttgart in southern Germany as well. So yeah, if anybody is around in Germany, then feel free to hit us up there. And that's it. That's it for today. If there are any other questions, me and Johanne will stay online for a few more minutes. If there are no other questions, then we're very glad to have you had here and to have had the chance to talk to you. And yeah, we'd love some feedback. There will be follow-up emails, so feel free to give us some feedback. And thank you very much from my side.